My name is Katie Martucci. I work in Career Services as our Employer Relations Advisor, and I just want to start off by thanking our sponsors. So for our All Things Animal Ignite series, we have Reading Equestrian, as well as Delaware Valley University Alumni Council. So thank you very much. This session will specifically explore animal careers related to medicine and health. All of our panelists are also willing to connect with you, so you can get in touch with them through the roundtable again, or you can always follow up with our office, cspd@delval.edu. All right, welcome everybody. So I have a couple of questions that we will kind of work through here. And Kelley, I know I was able to hear you earlier, and hopefully you can hear me. If you can, please feel free to jump in with answers to these questions. And if not, we can work with you after at the roundtables to help you get connected with students. Okay, so if everybody could introduce themselves, a name, a title, and where you work, just briefly, that would be really helpful, I think, to our students. And Jason, you're first on my screen. So could we start with you, and then everyone can just kind of jump in.
Perfect. Big Delval, welcome and good morning or afternoon to everyone. My name is Jason Dahl. I'm an associate veterinarian at VCA Hospital in Central Pennsylvania State College, where I grew up. After Delval, I had the honor of going to Tufts University School of Veterinary Medicine, where I got my doctorate of veterinary medicine and my master's of public health. And so I just graduated this May. So first full-time job as a veterinarian, so I'm happy to talk to anyone that is pre-vet. Shout out to Dr. Reed if you're out there. Thank you so much for everything, and thank you so much CSPD for organizing this event.
Thanks. How about you, Molly?
Hi there, my name is Hankey, and I work with the USDA APHIS, which is Animal Plant and Health. Animal Plant Health Inspection Service. Sorry, I'm stumbling. And a small branch of that is called Veterinary Services. And I'm an animal health technician, and I did graduate from Delval back in 2004. So I've been with the USDA in my position for actually 16 years. So yes, I do like it that much. I have done a few career fairs at Delval in the past. This is my first time doing a virtual one, so this is very interesting, and I'm excited to speak with anyone who would like to ask me any questions.
And then Kelley, can you hear? Okay. Well, if not, Kelley, we'll jump over to Juanita.
Can you hear me okay?
Your volume is a little bit low.
Okay. 1 second. What about now?
I think you just might have to speak loudly.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is this better? Okay. All right. These are new, so I guess I have to shout into them. Hi, everyone. My name is Juanita Ezemba. I graduated from Delval 2018, so not that long ago, literally 2 years ago. And I've had two positions in that time. My first position was, I was more like a research associate at University of Pennsylvania, the Ovarian Cancer Research Center. So I was helping a lot with their in vivo research. So I was doing a lot of animal hands-on work. And my new position, which I just started like a few months ago, is at Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. So I'm doing gene therapy research, which is kind of cool and different, but I'm still kind of helping with a lot of the in vivo research and also doing a lot of in the in vitro side as well. So, but I was a small animal science major. So it's not to put anyone down, but it's not only vet school. You can still do other things if you decide vet school is not the path for you. So research is pretty cool.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I just want to give a shout out to Kelley Stevens, who is attempting to be with us here in the panel. She works with Merck Animal Health as an Associate Director of Quality Assurance. And again, Kelley, if you're able to jump in at any point, please feel free. And I apologize if the tech is causing any issues there. But let's go ahead and jump into the first question. We'll just go in the same order. And And if you can keep your questions brief but concise, that'll be helpful. 2 to 3 minutes maybe. So can you talk about how your first job has impacted your career and where you are today?
Okay. So I forgot to say that I was a 2016 grad and I was a zoo science major. So again, a little bit different. And I agree 100% with Juanita that you don't need to just go to vet school if you love animals. I think that's the great thing about Del Val. And to answer your question, I'm in my first job right now, and I think the biggest thing that I think especially Del Val prepared me for is that you just need to be a great communicator, not just to advocate for the animals that you're working with, because they can't tell you what's going on, or you can't 100% tell them why you're doing the things that you're doing to them, but to really communicate to the person that cares so much about them. So whether that's the owner, the PI on the case, the farmer, the person that's associated with that, even if you're working with wild animals, as you guys know, there's always some sort of stakeholder. And that's why I really wanted to focus on public health as well. I worked with sort of a sister organization that Molly was working with, the Food and Safety Inspection Service, FSIS. And so just working with those different stakeholders in vet school really helped sort of reinforce the work that I do now, which is mainly sort of every day, as well as emergency work with cat and dog and rabbit owners. So, Kelley's here. Perfect.
Hi, Kelley. I would like to just interrupt for 1 second. And if you're not the one speaking, if you could please turn your mics off so we can try and eliminate some feedback, just getting some comments from students. That would be really helpful. But Molly, why don't you go ahead, and then Kelley, and then Juanita with that same question. So how's your first job impacted your career and where are you?
Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm working from home and I have company, my family. Anyhow, so yes, when I graduated from Del Val in 2004, I'm sorry, I'm having an interruption right now. Please pardon. My husband's home and he's walking behind me. It's a little bit distracting. So anyhow, I graduated in 2004, and I really thought that I was going to go into extension work. My whole time at Del Val, I was focusing on working for Penn State Extension, but it turned out there were no jobs available when I graduated. So I would have to move, to a different state if I was going to be an extension agent. So luckily there was a class, and then there was a follow-up career fair where I learned about another USDA agency called NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service. And I ended up taking an internship with them, but it only lasted about 2 weeks because I ended up landing the full-time job that I have right now. So I graciously declined out of that internship so I could take a full-time position. And I've been here ever since. One fallback, I guess, with my position is with veterinary services as an animal health technician is there's not really a huge career ladder to climb. I mean, there's I think, maybe 1 or 2 positions that would be open for me to further my career. Now, while our pay level actually, goes up over time, we're not stuck at one level. I would have to probably go to a different agency if I really wanted to climb any kind of a ladder. So, fortunately for me, I mean, I'm a mother, and staying at this particular job right now for me is just what I need. So, you have to. I just want everyone to know that you can have a family and a full career. I think that was like something that I was unsure about when I entered this career. It has changed for me a lot over the years. I used to do a lot more traveling. I used to work a lot of late nights, but fortunately, this career has provided other opportunities where my responsibilities have shifted. So, again, echoing what Juanita said, if you are a small animal or large animal or, whatever, vet school is not the only path out of Del Val. I had so many of my friends go to vet school when I was there, and I'm very happy for them that they made that career choice. I knew it wasn't for me. So, do a lot of the career fairs and look online for lots of different types of jobs, because there are definitely a lot of different pathways out there for career.
Thanks, Molly. Kelley, it looks like you might be on mute. Let's see. Why don't we go back to Juanita and Kelley? Maybe the tech will get worked out there. So go ahead, Juanita.
Sure. Can you hear me okay? Okay. All right. I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Okay, so how has your first job impacted your career and where you are today?
Oh, okay, cool. So my first job, like right out of Del Val, was the position I mentioned earlier, is like a research associate at Penn. So I moved after Del Val. I moved to the city, hoping to continue with graduate school, because about junior year, I decided vet school wasn't for me. I had an internship at like a emergency room, and it was very stressful. It was like I realized I didn't like stress, so definitely do internships so you realize what you like and what you don't like. I'm more of an even-tempered person, so the lab was really where I could thrive because I was kind of in control of my environment. So I was interested in research after my position. I worked as a tech during my undergrad, an animal tech at Del Val, like in small animal science labs. So when I got to Penn, I already had that background and that experience, and I was helping them out with their research. And it was really fascinating. It was ovarian cancer research, and we were working on new therapies, and it was pretty cool. And so that was really what spurred my interest in research. And then after that, I got the opportunity at Regeneron to also work with research, but with gene therapy. So I was still applying the skills I had learned, but in a different field. So that's something that I would definitely recommend early on in your career, to definitely try different areas where you can apply the skills you learn, because you never know like where you would really fall in love with it. I knew I fell in love with the in vivo side because I got to work with like the cute mice at Penn, and I'm still doing that here, but with different research, and it's really fascinating. So just being able to handle animals and work with them, you can apply that to so many fields and careers. And I kind of found my niche in research. And yeah, things are going good so far. So that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Thanks, Juanita. Hey, Kelley, did it get worked out? Okay, we'll go back to this. So Jason, let me see, let's look at the time here. Okay, so can you talk briefly about how your career has differed or stayed the same from what you imagined it would be when you first started out? And that could be all the way back to when you were a little kid, or it could be when you first started at Del Val, whatever you want.
Okay, thanks. So, I mean, I was that sort of stereotypical person that has always wanted to be a veterinarian, and I'm definitely supportive of my colleagues here that just because you love animals doesn't mean you need to be a veterinarian. And even going through Del Val, just seeing the different opportunities you can have and the different species you can work with is just really, really amazing. I took a lambing class at Del Val, and that was really, really amazing. Getting up like very early in the morning to bottle feed some lambs was just amazing. And I mean, something that I don't do in my day-to-day, but really helps to help with neonatal care and everything, just since that's a part of cat and dog medicine that we don't know that much of. And like I had a 4-week-old kitten this week, and I was just like, oh, it has a possibly infectious disease, but of cats. I don't want to really put it all the way down in ISO because the heat in there is a little bit dicey. So can we just put it in the dog kennel, rope it off, just make sure that there's only one tech on there, just to make sure that this very small creature that can barely thermoregulate do that. So I think I definitely put on my large animal hat for that. And I think that's what Del-Val really helps to teach you, and something that I tried to bring through to vet school and everything, because Del-Val gives you a great opportunity to have a livestock experience, and especially my first year with learning anatomy. And I felt definitely the smallest person in the room at that time. Being able to restrain a sheep when no one else could was actually felt pretty good. And so always take those special opportunities, even if you feel, oh, I don't think that that's exactly where I want to go. I was more focused on avian medicine and things like that when I was at Del-Val, but just to take every opportunity that you can. And I think that's what has changed for me, is just the more, oh, this is actually how you do something, rather than, oh, here's the pie in the sky sort of goal.
Great. Okay, go ahead, Molly. And just unmute your.
Oh, thank you. Can you repeat that question one more time, please?
Absolutely. So how has your career differed or stayed the same from what you imagined it would be when you first started out?
So I think I did touch a little bit on that during my last answer, how I did used to travel more. I worked different kinds of hours, a lot more evenings and early mornings. So fortunately, this job for me, and working on the team that I have in my job, has really allowed me to tailor my hours how I need to work them for my family. So as far as the job itself, I never imagined myself being a regulatory agent. I grew up on a farm, didn't really have any contact with any kind of regulatory authorities, agriculture wise. So I really didn't know what was out there as far as a career in regulatory, agriculture. So I knew I wanted to help people, and that's why I wanted to go the extension route. But I find that in this career, in this job, I do a lot of helping. I do a lot of education. It's probably, one of my major job responsibilities, helping people to meet regulatory requirements. So, and what I do, I want to explain my job a little bit. I work in a program. My number one program is avian influenza. So I do a lot of education with our stakeholders for avian influenza, and I do a lot of surveillance for that. And then I also do livestock market inspections, where I work with an animal ID traceability program. So it's kind of the large animal, food animal side to the live side to, before animals get to slaughter. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not a right or wrong answer for these, because they're so personal, and it's really whatever you're comfortable sharing. I know our students are getting a lot out of the stories and the background that you all have, and it's all very different, which is good. So go ahead again, Juanita, with that one.
Sure. So it's differed in the sense that I'm studying different fields, but it's basically stayed the same in what I do and the kind of skills that I bring to the table. So my first position, as I mentioned, I was more working the in vivo side, helping with a lot of the mouse studies. Just being able to handle a mouse, that's actually really important if you want to go into research, like, because there is a lot of research scientists that are very skeeved out by mice. I don't mind them. It's very easy to just pick them up, but that was kind of an advantage of being small animal science and taking the animal handling classes. So those helped a lot. And I've really kind of used that to kind of put my foot in the door of like research. So now I'm more involved in the other side of the research. I'm not just really handling the mice. I'm like, usually when I worked as a tech, I would like help with the research and the science. And I would always wonder, what are we using these guys for anyway? But now I actually know what we're using them for, and it's pretty exciting. So with those skills, I kind of transfer that to my current position, where instead of ovarian cancer research, we're doing gene therapy, which is like a completely new relatively new, like emerging field, which is a lot of cool science and research, but I'm still kind of doing a lot of those animal handling skills in addition to like the in vitro work on the other side. So it stayed the same in that you can apply your skills to different areas, but you can apply it to any area, and that's always different. So you should always keep fine-tuning your skills and learning new skills along the way and looking to see where you can apply that in different areas.
Thanks. Awesome insight. Kelley, one more try here. Are you able to?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Wonderful.
Okay, perfect. Now you have to ask me the question again.
Yeah, absolutely. So how has your career differed or stayed the same from what you imagined it would when you first started out?
Oh, wow. So I graduated from Del Valle in 2001. I was an equine major. So coming right out of college, I wanted to get into equine nutrition and had an interview right out of college about a month after I graduated with a feed company, and I completely bombed the interview. It was horrible. And it was a good learning experience. Definitely needed to do more practicing and to be more prepared. So at that point, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then a friend of mine told me about, so I'm in Maryland, but in Millsboro, Delaware, which is fairly close to where I live, there was a company called Intervet, Animal Health. We do biologics. And they said, why don't you interview there? And I said, okay, it's mostly poultry, but it's not kind of the way I wanted to go. But I interviewed and I got a job in their animal services department in animal care. So it wasn't equine, they didn't have horses, but I went with it. It was a good learning opportunity. From there, I developed into their testing side. So all of the quality testing we do for all of our products for the market, was doing the quality testing for a while. Advanced to manager, of the testing group, and then manager of the farm. Eventually, we did get horses at the site, which was awesome. So I still got to use equine every day. And then, I've been here 19 years. And the one thing I love about how my career kind of diverted a little bit is that just animal health as a whole just has so many more opportunities, and I'm just not stuck in equine. So there's just a lot more opportunities. Now I'm all the way in quality assurance. So I've kind of gone through animal services, quality control. Now I'm in quality assurance. So there's just a wide variety of opportunities in animal health companies now. I've also survived 2 mergers. So Intervet got bought by Shearing Plow, and we now are Merck. So that was pretty cool to survive both of those, because a lot of people did lose their positions. But I think the big takeaway for me is you might have a thought when you graduate what you're going to do and where you're going to be, but everything happens for a reason, and kind of just take those opportunities as they come.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad that we were able to get connected with you, and you came through loud and clear. So,
okay, perfect.
Yeah, and I think we have time for one more quick question. So if you can, very quickly, because we're approaching time here, but this is an important one. Can you please share a failure that you experienced at some point in your career and what you learned from it? Go ahead, Jason.
The first time I did a cystotomy, so getting bladder stones out of a schnauzer, that was a big fail for me, because it was over the night. There was a doctor that was popping in and out, but I had never really done the procedure before. I had seen it a few times, and it was definitely like a learning opportunity for me. And luckily I had amazing owners, but again, I think communication to really let people know if you're doing something for the first time, to let people know and to let people know expectations. Luckily, the dog did great. Haven't had reemergence of stones, knock on wood, but that was just a really difficult time and for me in there. But luckily, I had the support, and I'm at a place where if you ask for help, people will stop and help you. And I had a few doctors even like draw the anatomy on like a little like post-it note for me that I put like up in surgery to be like, okay, this is my approach. These are their helpful hints. And that was really nice. So again, really let people know when you're struggling because someone helped them when they were too. So.
Great. Thanks. Go ahead, Molly.
I think my biggest failures probably happened early on in my career when I was not as confident maybe as I should have been in knowing regulations that I was supposed to be, enforcing, and also dealing with some stakeholders who were less than kind. I'll say, it took me a while to develop the interpersonal skills, in dealing with different types of people that were much older than me, had maybe come from different backgrounds. I in parts of my job, I deal with people from inner cities. I deal with people from different countries, and learning all of those just intricacies of how to deal with and regulate, people of different backgrounds was it took a long time for me to understand that. So anyhow, I just, take those classes if you have the opportunity. A lot of those are the soft skills that you don't maybe, have a class for, but there are, online help classes or something that you can find somewhere. But I think that is one thing that I would say I wish I would have done, going into my career.
Thanks.
One of the things I learned earlier on was not necessarily how to manage your time, but to manage yourself. So a mistake I made early on in my career, and I think a lot of people make this when they're new to a position, is that you're so eager to help and learn that you spread yourself too thin. So I didn't want to come off as, look, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So every time someone would say, oh, can you help with this? I would be like, oh yeah, yes. And my calendar just kept getting fuller and fuller until I didn't even have space to breathe, basically. So definitely learn how to manage your time and yourself, and don't spread yourself too thin. You don't have to say yes to everything. You can say yes to certain things, but definitely focus on areas where you're going to excel in, or areas where you can learn from. So just make sure that you are very conscious of how you basically spend your time. Just make sure that when someone asks you something, you think to yourself, can I actually do this? Will I be able to complete it properly? And if not, will I be able to learn from this? And then you can go ahead and say yes, not just for the sake of saying yes because you want to be the yes man or woman in this case.
Great, thank you. Okay, and Kelley, we'll end with you.
Okay. I'm not going to give an example. I've been through a bunch of different positions within the company, and I will say that mistakes do happen. And the biggest thing is to learn from them and improve upon them and continue to improve your processes, your standing operating procedures, your policies, just continue to improve them as you see these things come up. That's just the biggest thing I have learned. And if you do, it does happen. I mean, we all are human, and it's just to learn from it and see what you can do with it.